Newsweek hasn't infrequently reported on Julian Assange, at least in the London office where you were until you resigned because you have character and a moral compass. Um, were there conversations in the newsroom about Julian Assange? What was the sense from? Do you have any kind of sense of what the overall feeling about the situation was? And yeah, you don't have to like name any
Mhm.
names or anything, but just kind of a general idea.
Well, I think most people have bought into the propaganda or the smears that even if, this is the thing that I've been trying to say is that I think actually journalists aren't aware of the propaganda because if I mentioned his name, people will automatically say, "Oh, but what about this or what about the rape case or oh it kind of there's a cloud of uncertainty around who he is as a person. um, the only kind of solid example that I can give you is that I did kind of similar to what I was going through with the Syria thing. I did tell my editors actually about 3 weeks before I resigned, saying, "Oh, I've spoken to Julian Assange's lawyers because I've thought, this is one of the most important news stories of 2019 and 2020." I did tell them, that I've got these great quotes, from the lawyers and got this, these documents and stuff. There didn't seem to be any particular interest in getting those published. There wasn't like any great reaction of, "Oh, this is great, we should print that immediately," even though it would have been an exclusive story on Julian Assange. It was, I didn't realize it at the time, but I think, yeah, there seems to be a kind of not well a effort to not really discuss it. I think what the newspapers are doing at the moment in the West is they'll cover the story as much as they have to.
Yeah.
When there's a court hearing, they'll give you the basics of it, but they're not really going to go beyond that. When people often talk about the Nazis, the kind of knee jerk reaction is to say they were so evil, how could they have ever done that? You know? Um, and it sounds like a controversial thing to say, but I think what we need to understand is, or what we need to say to ourselves is that the Nazis or the Germans or whoever committed atrocious crimes, they are no different than all of us. We are Nazis, we are racist, and that's a difficult thing to say, but it's the understanding is that we have the capability to do evil things. And the truth that came out of what happened in Nazi Germany is that the only way that Nazi Germany was allowed to get to the level of what it was, because people say, "Oh, they're monsters," and they put them in this other category. What we need to realize is the only way that Nazi Germany was allowed to happen was that enough people didn't speak honestly about what was going on. Too many people were scared of upsetting someone, losing their jobs. And I understand not everyone is in a position to speak out, but I think this is what I've been trying to say is that the truth is really a fundamentally important thing. And if we censor ourselves, if we keep quiet about the truth, the situation around us keeps getting worse to the point that it does reach Nazi Germany. And all of a sudden you're in that moment and you're committing these horrendous crimes and you have no idea how you got there. The truth is that it takes a long time to get there, and we've already been down that path of not being honest enough. And some people might argue that the amount of crimes that the West have committed in the last 50 years, is probably reaching the levels of what was committed in World War II. If you think about Yemen, Syria, Iraq, dozens of countries in South America, the West have been perpetrating terrible crimes, and not enough people are speaking out about it. So, my final message to people is, speak honestly about everything. Start off in your own life, start off in your own family situations. Start off just with yourself. Be honest with yourself about what you're doing in the world, and then we can kind of slowly extend that out. I think that's the only way forward for everyone.